Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching at this news hour with the news. I'm Biniam Getana. Thank you for joining us and do stay with us. Now the news in detail. U.S. congressmen criticized that the Biden administration for equating a legitimately elected government with the terrorist TPLF. The senators said that they are exerting efforts to reinstate Ethiopia to AGOA. This remark came while Ethiopians residing in the U.S. Virginia celebrated the annual Ethiopian Day. Goshumaliso has the full report.
Welcome, Ken.
Ethiopian diasporas in the U.S. Virginia have celebrated Ethiopia's annual festival for the second time. Speaking on the occasion, Senator Mark Warner said the Biden administration should refrain from putting the legitimate government with the terrorist TPLF.
Ambassador Manning, and said it is time for us to make sure that we recognize that the democratically elected government in Ethiopia is the future of Ethiopia, and we need to stand with democracy and use the power that we have to try, yes, to lessen the conflict, but to say that everything is equal and not to respect the challenge history of Ethiopia, particularly until the new regime came into power a few years ago, refuses to acknowledge the potential of bringing all of Ethiopia together.
The senator underscored that U.S. needs to participate in Ethiopia's mega projects and investment activities, adding that efforts are underway with senior U.S. officials for the success of the plan.
I have met with the head of the Development Finance Corporation to make sure that the United States starts reinvesting in a major way in projects in Ethiopia. It's why in the last 2 weeks, I met actually with the ambassador's boss, the senior ambassador from Ethiopia, and then met with the new American diplomat who is supposed to be dealing with the whole Horn of Africa.
Senator Don Beyer served as the deputy governor of Virginia from 1990 to 1998. Currently representing the Democratic Party, he is the member of the Congressman in the White House and chairperson to the Joint Economic Committee of the Council. Congressman Don Beyer appreciates the Ethiopian government's effort to resolve the conflict via peace talk.
I've been to the White House twice to meet with Jake Sullivan and those people to elevate what's happening in Ethiopia to the White House. I was very upset to see the outbreak and fighting that happened just in the last couple of days. It's so unnecessary when we're so close to peace. And I'm very pleased that the Ethiopian government with President Abiy has agreed to do the talks in South Africa. I know it's unfortunate they've been postponed indefinitely, but we certainly hope that they happen soon.
Don Beyer expressed that efforts are underway to back Ethiopia to AGOA.
Ethiopia is the heart of having strong relations with Africa. If we want Africa's economic growth to happen, it's going to have to come from a strong Ethiopia, which means the revolt has to be over as quickly as possible. I also believe, by the way, that our U.S. delisting of Ethiopia's AGOA was a very bad move. We took people that had no role in the fight and took away their jobs. And I've been working with the U.S. Trade Representative to make sure that Ethiopia once again has AGOA benefits at the end of this year.
Ethiopia and America have more than 100 years of long-standing relationship. It was learned.
The ANA Forum, which is held every year based on the African Union's guidelines for the African solution to African problems, has started its 10th annual forum today. Among those taking part in the annual forum, one is Patrice Lumumba, a staunch critic for neocolonialism. Approached by ETV, Lumumba said the forum helps exchange ideas on how Africa could break free of undue interference in neocolonialism. Johannes Fenton has compiled the full story, compiled by Daniel Kassaun.
Patrick Oteino Lumumba, or Plo Lumumba, an admirer of Patrice Lumumba and Thomas Sankara, the assassinated revolutionary leaders of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Burkina Faso respectively, has referred to and quoted them several times in his speech. Lumumba is also remembered for emotion-laden and energetic speech about Africa and anti-neocolonialism. Participating in the 10th ANA Forum, where people who can provide solutions to Africa's problems meet and devise way to prosper Africa by overcoming poverty and away from conflict and war, said the forum is very essential to generate ideas to tackle political and economic neocolonialism.
This is a gospel that we must preach again and again. And the Tana Forum believes that the Pan-Africanist spirit must be alive and well. Africa must sing from one songbook, and African voices must be loud and clear, so that those who want or think of recolonizing Africa economically or otherwise do not try, and even if they do, they will not succeed. So the forum provides an environment where Pan-African issues can be discussed and deployed for implementation.
Lumumba said that since the forum is looking for African solutions to African problems, there is a need for determination, self-denial and commitment to implement the solution ideas presented by the forum.
You see, we learned from Kenneth Kaunda that if you want peace, you must be prepared to go through pain. And if you look at his contribution in the liberation of South Africa, Namibia, Angola, and Mozambique, he endured, he was focused, he was dedicated, and that character is still relevant today as it was in those days. So the lessons to be learned is dedication, self-denial, and commitment to a cause that is true and just.
The forum has a bottom-up approach where all Africans who have solutions to Africa's problems can participate.
The reason why you need a bottoms-up approach to all issues of peace and security is because everybody then becomes a stakeholder. If the people are involved in the process of peace building, then they become the protectors and the guarantors of peace, as opposed to the top-down approach, which comes with a tinge of arrogance and is therefore not owned by the people. The people must be the stakeholders, and this is the song that the Tana Forum is asking all of us to sing going forward.
The 10th Tana High Security Forum is taking place under the theme Managing Security Threats, Building Resilience for Africa We Want in Bahir Dar, Ethiopia.
Meanwhile, the 10th Tana High-Level Security Forum is taking place under the theme Managing Security Threats, Building Resilience for the Africa We Want in Bahir Dar City in Ethiopia. Several high-level dignitaries, including the Sudanese Foreign Minister Ali Asgadi, have arrived in Bahir Dar. Today's preliminary session dwelt at length on the contribution made by the former Zambian President Kenneth Kaunda to Pan-Africanism. I am joined live for this and other developments in Bahir Dar by our staff reporter Daniel Kasson. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, William.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening to you.
So, could you please tell us what are some of the points that were hampered during today's discussion?
Yeah, the thing that Tana Forum has kicked off today, and the first session was dedicated to the late president of the Republic of Zambia, Kenneth Kaunda. He was the freedom fighter for Zambia, and he became the first leader of Zambia after its independence from Britain in 1964, which means this was right after the establishment of the Organization of African Union in 1963 in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa. You know, Ethiopia was the only non-colonized country in the continent, and the liberation struggle of Africans from colonizers was galvanized by the emergence of the OAU here in Ethiopia, and that was mentioned in the session, and Ethiopia has remained to be an anchor country for the continent in fighting colonialism, and now the new form of colonialism, neo-colonialism. And currently Ethiopia is saying no for external interferences and this has to be emulated by other African countries, other nations of the continent. And this was one of the major points mentioned in the preliminary session, and there were also issues related to climate change, issues related to migration, and other development aspects of the continent.
Interesting, Daniel. So there's also pertinent points that are, like some reports suggest that Ethiopia's green legacy success will be on the agenda. What is your reflection on this and other agenda table for discussion?
This is timely and it is worth mentioning. With regard to the Green Legacy Initiative of Ethiopia, I say it is worth mentioning as currently climate change is imposing a heavy hand on the globe. And there is famine in some parts of the world, there is drought, there is also flooding in other parts of the world, and catastrophic effects of climate change are affecting the whole world. And the Green Legacy Initiative of Ethiopia is a great stride, and it's a golden initiative. So far, Ethiopia has been able to plant over 20 billion seedlings within 3 to 4 years. And it is timely, even Ethiopia has gone beyond its border, and it went to plant trees to neighboring countries, and it is the best option for people of the world to follow suit and to minimize adverse effects of climate change. And this is also a very interesting point in the TANA Forum session.
Daniel Kasson, thank you so much for your updates. And that was Daniel Kasson updating us what's happening on the pertinent points that he has already mentioned. Now we move to another story. Minister of Foreign Affairs Demeke Mekonnen met with U.S. Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, Mike Hamper, in his office on October 14, 2022. During the discussion, Demeke reaffirmed the government's commitment to a peaceful resolution of the conflict in the northern part of the country. For his part, Mike Hammer stated that the U.S. will continue to strengthen its support for the AU-led peace talks. The parties also exchanged views on the need to further bolster bilateral ties between Ethiopia and the U.S. Once again, you're watching at this news hour with the Nusam Bina. And now we move to another story. The Ethiopian National Intelligence and Security Services and its Sudanese counterpart, the General Intelligence Service, discussed and reached an agreement to scale up cooperation and operation in ensuring peace and stability in the East African region. NIS confirmed that a delegation led by the Director General of the General Intelligence Service of the Republic of Sudan, Lieutenant General Ahmed Ibrahim Muftadel, visited its facility on Friday. On Friday. In the meeting after the visit, both sides discussed the current security and intelligence issues of the two countries in the Horn of Africa region. The Director General of NISS, Temesgen Turner, said that Ethiopia and Sudan share interchangeable culture, language, religion, and wide broader benefits from the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam will also be used to strengthen the bond, he noted. The Director General of GIS, Ahmed Ibrahim Mustafa, on his part indicated that their visit to NISS helped them witness the successful implementation of the reform process. The agreement between the INSS and GIS mainly aimed to raise their cooperation and partnership to a higher level by setting up permanent joint platform. And Deputy Head of Mission with the Australian Embassy in Addis Ababa, Dylan Jones-Verman, said Australia is keen to work along with Ethiopia in various investment areas. According to the Deputy Head of Mission, Australia lauds the Green Legacy Initiative as well as other development and reform measures by the government. Habtam Washagre has compiled the full story. Let's take a look.
This is Ethiopia's Green Legacy. Our legacy. Your legacy.
Ethiopia is implementing effective Green Legacy initiative aiming to control the negative impact of climate change. The Australian Second Secretary to Ethiopia, Dylan Jones Vima, said Australia is recognizing the relentless efforts of Ethiopia in realizing Green Legacy initiative. According to the Second Secretary, Australia is always committed to work along with Ethiopia in various key sectors.
I really do truly appreciate the valuable approach that the Regreen the Globe movement is a valuable initiative here in Ethiopia and more broadly around the world as well. Food security, environmental protection and climate change are a key focus areas for Australia here in Ethiopia and in the Horn of Africa. And I'd like to acknowledge here the Green Legacy Initiative that has already taken great strides in Ethiopia and the important role that this project is playing alongside these priorities.
Dalan further expresses that the two countries are working together in environmental conservation activities.
Ethiopia and Australia share a commitment to restore our natural environment and to work across our respective levels of government as well to ensure our countries are both productive and actively improving the lands on which we live. The protection of natural ecosystems benefits our environment and importantly also contributes to livelihoods and to strengthening food security and nutrition for communities.
The partnerships of the two respective countries are exemplary to others so as to tackle the common challenges at every level, the Second Secretary underlined.
The partnerships are central to tackle some of these complex challenges. The diversity of the room here today is a testament to the connections and collaboration that this project has developed across different levels of government, civil society, educational, research institutes, and across the country.
One of the key pledges that countries made at the UN Climate Change Conference in Glasgow.
New ideas, new perspectives, and new viewpoints. We are coming to you with renewed commitments through our new programs, Explore Ethiopia and Diplomatic Insight, because we believe that you deserve to know the truth. For global perspectives on local matters regarding Ethiopia, join us on Addis Dialogue, featuring distinguished guests from Africa and the entire globe on ETV Language, the voice of diversity and renaissance.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now step into another news. So, Foreign Minister His Excellency Demeke Mekonnen met with Kata Jekul, Minister of State at the Ministry of the Federal Foreign Office of the Federal Republic of Germany. The two sides pledged to scale up the bilateral relationship between Ethiopia and Germany. The two countries expressed the need to cooperate on issues related to energy, climate change, peace and security, according to the Deputy Prime Minister. Demeke stated that Ethiopia is dedicated to finding a peaceful solution to the conflicts in the north. He said that the ICRT's report is politically motivated and biased. According to Kohl, Germany supports the peace process to end the conflict in the northern part of the country. And another development story, SATO handed over 30,000 hand-washing equipment to UNICEF in a recognition to Global Hand-Washing Day. SATO pledged to press ahead with efforts to improve the livestock population around the globe. Chief of WASH at UNICEF in Ethiopia, Kitaka Goal, noted that the team work is vital to enhance Ethiopia's hygiene and sanitary. With more on that.
SATO
currently operates in 6 African countries in Nigeria, Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda and in Ethiopia. SATO's sole purpose is to empower people everywhere to lead better life every day, to enjoy through innovation and hygiene solution.
SATO is an award-winning social business that has already positively impacted the life of more than 35 million people in over 44 countries. In Africa, SATO currently operates in 6 countries: Nigeria, Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, and Ethiopia, where we have formally presence and supporting marketing and sales activities. Our purpose is simply to empower people everywhere to live better life every day, to enjoy brighter future through innovation, sanitation, and hygiene solutions.
She further underscored that 40% of the world population has no access to wash their hands.
3 billion people, 40% of the world population, have no access of place to wash their hands with soap and water. 900 million children lack of soap and water at their school. 40% of healthcare facilities are not equipped to practice hand hygiene to point of care. There we go.
Chief of WASH at UNICEF Ethiopia, Kitika Goyol, on Sport said that the commemoration of the Global Washing Day calls to bring hands together to overcome, help the cause.
It gives me great joy to be part of this event, to mark the handover of the SATO taps from Lixil to UNICEF. But however, it is an event that is also commemorating the Global Hand Washing Day. This day, everywhere globally on the 15th of October, is used to highlight the importance of hand washing with soap as a very effective, very low cost, and very affordable way to prevent diseases and to save our lives. The theme for the Global Hand Washing Day 2022 is Unite for Universal Hand Hygiene. It's calling for all of us to bring our hands together, since it is talking about hand washing, to help the cause and to overcome the challenge.
He went on saying that hygiene-related disease can be reduced 40% if regular hand washing practices are practical.
A lot of studies have shown us that diarrheal diseases can be reduced by about 40% if we wash our hands effectively with soap. Respiratory illnesses, including the common cold, can also be reduced by up to about 21% if we wash our hands with soap. Absenteeism from schools for our children can also be reduced if they wash their hands regularly with soap by up to about 57%. So we can see that it is really important to wash hands with soap regularly.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, moving on, the Jimma University has been ranked number 1 in the world for citation, along with other renowned institutions by the Time Higher Education, which is a globally recognized university ranking institution, and its newly released 2023 World University Rankings. Likewise, the ranked Jimma University as number 1 in Ethiopia and 11th in Africa, and top 600, which is 539 to be specific, among the 1,799 universities across 104 countries. According to a statement by the president of the university, The institution has just made history by establishing itself as one of the top universities in all of Ethiopia and the world for citation among these participating universities. The leadership of Jimma University, the statement said, is dedicated to moving the institution forward in accordance with its 10-year strategic plan designed to make Jimma University one of the best in the region and a top destination for students from Ethiopia and all over the world. The statement finally extended its heartfelt congratulations to the entire Jimma University staff and the student body on this wonderful accomplishment.
Ambassador, I want you to explain about the bilateral relationship between Ethiopia and India.
Indians have always found Ethiopia to be their home.
The relationship in international fora of UNSC. So what's the impetus for India and what's the mutual understanding in such occasions?
We have always looked at our sisters and brothers in Africa, in Asia and in the Caribbean as our own.
What's your take on the efforts of the government of Ethiopia now to conduct a national dialogue?
African solutions for African problems.
Welcome back. You're still watching Addis News Hour. Now, moving on. The Intergovernmental Authority Development today held a workshop in Ethiopia about fishery resources in Lake Turkana and Baro Akobo Sabota Basin. A study conducted on the socio-economic and capacity needed assessment of fisheries in Lake Turkana and Baro Akobo Sabota Basin was presented on the workshop and thoroughly discussed. Speaking on the occasion, Shete Dejane, IGAD's Sustainable Environment Unit Program Manager, underscored that utilizing the untapped fisheries sector is vital to alleviate food insecurity problems in the IGAD region. The workshop aims to support sustainable management and development of fisheries in order to contribute to poverty alleviation, food and nutrition security, while addressing climate change resilience and enhancing marine biodiversity. Shete underlined inappropriate finance, backwardness, instability, among others, are the major bottlenecks of the fisheries sector. And finally, flooding in Nigeria's Anambra state this year has displaced nearly 600,000 people. An additional 500 people have died. Nigeria's National Emergency Management Agency says increased rainfall and the release of excess water from a dam in neighboring Cameroon have contributed to flooding. Tigasir Nisa has compiled CGTN files. Take a look.
Since the end of July, Nigeria has been grappling with a wave of flooding. At least 28 out of its 36 states have been affected by the heavy rains. Last week on Friday, an overloaded boat with about 85 people capsized in the Niger River, killing 76 people. Nigeria's National Emergency Management Agency has warned of more catastrophic flooding for states located along the coasts of River Niger and Benue. It says 3 of Nigeria's overfilled reservoirs are expected to overflow.
I come out.
God saved me from the accident. I didn't die. I jumped into the water and swam out to survival. That is what happened. We now beg our government to come to our help. We are suffering. We are hungry. Look at the people just suffering.
We are suffering.
Nigerian President Mohamed Buhari says these are the worst floods witnessed in the country, with the water level around 1/10 higher than a decade ago.
We have not been experiencing this type of flood before. It was 2012 we saw something like this. And this 2022 flood became far bigger than what we were seeing before.
The floods have washed away homes, crops and roads and have affected at least 500,000 of people. About 45,000 houses have been destroyed and 70 hectares of farmland have been submerged nationwide. That's according to the federal government. Experts say climate change has contributed to the heavy flooding in the country. Nigerian authorities warned that states in the central and southern parts of the country are likely to experience more floods in the coming weeks.
And now a recap of the top stories once again. Ghana Forum expected to suggest remedies for political and economic neo-colonialism. And U.S. senators criticized the Biden administration for equating a terrorist group with a legitimate government. You've been watching Addis News Hour with Zenus Sambina. I'm Gatana. Thank you for staying with us and have a lovely evening. Goodbye from me now.